Ever pondered over how the United States, a relatively new nation, became a global superpower in less than 250 years? The story begins with its founding, a tumultuous tale of 13 colonies breaking away from the British Empire. The Revolutionary War was a struggle of David and Goliath proportions, with the underdog colonies emerging victorious, birthing a nation built on the ideals of liberty and democracy. The ratification of the Constitution was another pivotal moment. This masterpiece of governance, balancing power and preserving rights, became the bedrock of this fledgling nation. Yet the road to empire was not without its trials. The Civil War, a bloody conflict that tore at the seams of unity, became a crucible of transformation. The war ended, but its impacts were profound, reshaping the nation's future and leaving a lasting legacy. As the dust from the Civil War settled, the stage was set for the United States to transform into an empire. A nation at peace with itself, the United States set its sights on fulfilling its manifest destiny. This belief, which originated in the 19th century, held that American settlers were destined by God to expand across the continent, spreading their democratic institutions and ideals as they went. This divine sense of purpose became a significant driving force behind the westward expansion of the United States. In the pursuit of this destiny, the United States acquired new territories through a variety of means. They bought lands, they won lands through war, and they negotiated for lands. Each acquisition was a step towards achieving the envisioned coast-to-coast American nation. Let's take the Louisiana Purchase as an example. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson bought this vast territory from France, effectively doubling the size of the United States overnight. This single purchase, which cost just $15 million, stretched from the Mississippi River all the way to the Rocky Mountains, and from the Gulf of Mexico to Canada. Then came the Mexican-American War, a conflict driven by the concept of manifest destiny. The war ended in 1848 with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, through which the United States acquired a massive swath of land that includes present-day California, Nevada, Utah, and parts of Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Wyoming. Not all territorial acquisitions were through purchase or war, however. Some were achieved through negotiation. Alaska, for instance, was purchased from Russia in a peaceful transaction in 1867. This acquisition, initially mocked as Seward's Folly, after Secretary of State William Seward, added a vast resource-rich territory to the United States. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, the United States expanded, driven by a sense of divine destiny and practical interests. The settlers moved west, the railroads followed, cities sprouted up, and territories transformed into states. The manifest destiny had been fulfilled. With the continent-spanning nation now a reality, the United States began to look beyond its borders. As the 19th century drew to a close, the United States embarked on its journey to becoming an empire. A significant milestone on this journey was the Spanish-American War of 1898, a conflict that marked the United States' first foray into overseas imperialism. The war, sparked by the explosion of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor, was a turning point in American history. It was a short but impactful conflict that led to the United States acquiring colonies and territories far beyond its shores. The Treaty of Paris, signed in December of that same year, ended the war and ceded control of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines to the United States. Let's take a moment to reflect on the significance of this. Prior to this, the United States had primarily focused on westward expansion within North America, but the acquisition of these colonies marked the beginning of a new era. The United States was no longer just a nation, it was an empire. And with this newfound status, it began to play a more significant role in global politics. The Philippines, in particular, became a hotbed of American influence in Asia. It served as a strategic base for American operations in the Pacific, and showcased the United States' military might to the rest of the world. Simultaneously, Puerto Rico and Guam became important strategic assets in the Caribbean and Pacific, respectively. But these acquisitions were not without controversy. There were debates at home about the morality and constitutionality of imperialism. Internationally, these moves also raised eyebrows, as traditional European powers saw a new player emerge on the global stage. Nevertheless, by the turn of the 20th century, the United States had firmly established itself as a global power. It had territories beyond its continental borders, a strong navy to protect those territories, and a growing influence in international affairs. This was the age of American imperialism, a period that set the stage for the United States' role in the world throughout the 20th century and beyond. The dawn of the 20th century saw the United States firmly established as a global power. Two world wars would shake the globe and set the stage for the United States to emerge as a superpower. As the First World War broke out in Europe, the United States initially chose neutrality. However, a series of provocations, including unrestricted submarine warfare and the Zimmermann Telegram, propelled the United States into the conflict in 1917. Despite joining the war late, the United States played a decisive role in tipping the scales in favor of the Allies. The end of the Great War saw the United States stepping onto the world stage, not as an imperial power, but as a promoter of self-determination and democracy. The League of Nations, though ultimately unsuccessful, was largely an American initiative, but it was the Second World War that truly marked the United States' ascension as a superpower. Once again, the United States initially remained neutral, but was drawn into the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. Its industrial might, untouched by the ravages of war, was instrumental in the Allied victory. The United States emerged from the war as the world's leading economic power. In the aftermath of World War II, the United Nations was created with the aim of preventing another such catastrophe. The United States, as one of the founding members, played a significant role in its formation. The country's commitment to the principles of the United Nations, peace, justice, human dignity and social progress, underscored its position as a global leader. Moreover, the United States began to shoulder the responsibility of rebuilding war-torn Europe and Japan, further solidifying its status as a superpower. The Marshall Plan, an American initiative, provided economic aid to Western Europe, helping to rebuild its economies and establish democratic governments. The end of World War II also marked the beginning of the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the two superpowers, each with its own sphere of influence, creating a bipolar world. Post-World War II, the United States stood as one of two superpowers in a bipolar world. The second half of the 20th century would see the United States locked in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. This was not a conventional war, but a tense and dangerous game of ideological chess, with the world's two superpowers vying for global influence and dominance. The Cold War was characterized by political tension, proxy wars, and the ever-present threat of nuclear annihilation. The United States and the Soviet Union never engaged in direct conflict, but they backed opposing sides in wars around the globe, from the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of Afghanistan. The space race, too, became a battleground for supremacy, with each nation striving to demonstrate its technological prowess and ideological superiority. Yet it was during this period that the United States solidified its status as a global superpower. It championed democracy and capitalism, promoting these ideals across the world. Through strategic alliances, economic aid, and military interventions, the United States extended its influence far beyond its borders. The end of the Cold War, marked by the collapse of the Soviet Union in the early 90s, didn't diminish the United States' global role. Instead, it led to a unipolar world where the United States was the sole superpower, shaping international relations and global politics. In the 21st century, the United States continues to play a significant role on the international stage. It leads in technology and innovation, commands a powerful military, and maintains significant economic influence. Yet, it also faces new challenges, from emerging global powers to complex issues like climate change and cybersecurity. The United States' journey from a young nation to a global empire is a testament to its resilience, adaptability, and enduring pursuit of its ideals. It's a story of transformation, marked by triumphs and trials, victories and setbacks, moments of unity and periods of division. In the span of a few centuries, the United States had transformed from a fledgling republic to a global empire. From its inception to its ascension as a global superpower, the journey of the United States has been nothing short of remarkable. We've traced the path from the birth of an empire, fueled by a vision of manifest destiny and expansion. This vision propelled the nation into the age of imperialism, a period marked by a growing influence across the globe. The two world wars then further defined the United States, paving its way to stand tall as a superpower. This rise was not without challenges, as the Cold War era brought a new set of complexities and confrontations. Even beyond the Cold War, the United States continues to navigate the nuances of its power and influence in a world that is continually evolving. As we've seen, the journey of the United States is a tapestry of triumph, trials, and transformation. One thing remains certain: the American empire's history is as fascinating as it is complex.